Alexis, a consultant here at Valiantys. In this video, we're going to go over customer notifications in Jira Service Management. What they are, where to find them, and how to make them way more useful, and a little less annoying. Whether your customers are saying, I didn't get anything, or why am I getting so many emails, this is probably where the issue is coming from. So these notifications are the emails that Jira Service Management sends out to customers. Note that when we say your customers for these customer notifications, these are going to be the reporter or any request participant on the ticket. So things such as your request has been received, someone added a comment, we've resolved your request. These are customer notifications. These, however, are not the same as Jira's internal notification scheme. These are totally different systems. Those are going to be what is for your service desk agents, and those are controlled per service space on the schemes. So these are not your notifications that your agents are going to get internally. That is your internal notifications, which again we won't cover in this video, but know that there are the differences between those two. So let's go ahead and dive in, and to first talk about customer notifications is we're going to need to go into our project and we're going to go navigate to customer notifications. So in your project, click on space settings and then come down to customer notifications, and here is where you have your dashboard for managing all your customer notifications. You have the ability to turn on security attachment, so that way for customers to download attachments they have to be able to be logged in and go to the portal to download them, or if you don't want them to, you don't have to. You can also change the sender name, so you can always display the user's public name for these generated emails, or just always display the portal name for the service space. You also do have templates, so these templates are going to allow you to modify the HTML, CSS, and plain text version of your styles of the content. So you do have the ability to also insert some variables, however, it's going to be very limited. You're not going to be able to add any specific custom fields. Everything here is what you're going to be able to get. But you do have the ability here to be able to add some logos. You can change the subject line, but note that this subject line applies for all of the customer notifications that come through. So you don't want to make this one too specific because it has to be for all your customer notifications, but also keeping in mind that you don't want to be too technical. You want to be user-friendly and easy to notice and see. So with that, let's go ahead and go back and let's get into the very fun portion of this, which is going through these customer notifications. So you're going to see there's a list right here. So some example of these customer notifications are going to be request created, public comment added, request resolved, participant added, approval required, customer visible status changed. Those are just some examples. However, there are more on this screen. You're not going to be able to add any new customer notifications, but all the ones you see here you can modify and customize to fit your needs. So let's start by customizing one of these notifications. So we're going to go into approval required. We're going to hit edit. And what we can do here is, especially for approval required, since this is an official logged auditable Jira step, we do have the ability to change some settings, such as making sure that the approvers must be signed in to use the approver decline buttons, or whether or not they can click it without being signed in, or don't even show those buttons at all on the email, and that they must go to view requests to sign in and then give approver decline. You have the ability to do that. You have the ability to also send and change who that goes to. So by default, the approval required notification is just going to go to your approvers, but you do also have the ability to add reporter, which is going to be your customer, and then customers involved, which is going to include your request participants. And you also have the ability to also exclude the person who caused this action with that checkbox right here. So coming to the content, just like how you see standardly in most Jira paragraph fields, you're going to have your rich text, so you're going to be able to bold, italicize, bullet lists, numbered lists, include links, emojis, you can add a table, code snippets, info panel, quotes, and even divider lines if you have very long content and you want to break them out. However, this is where your customization comes into play with this insert variable. With the insert variable, this is going to allow you to customize and put in smart values of information that per each ticket it will paste in appropriately. Know that this is all the customization in terms of variables you can use. So you have any special custom fields, you're not going to be able to use those here. If you want to use those, I'll link in the description of this video. We have a video on formatting the send email action in Jira automation. That is what you can use to be able to customize and make very specific email notifications, and you could even use those in place of these and you would just turn these off. So right now we can see this one says this request created by, and this is pulling in the reporter's name, is awaiting approval. However, this may not be great. This is, default Jira jargon. So let's go ahead and let's spice up what this should say. So now we've modified our content, so now it's a little bit more user-friendly. So we have it say hello, recipient name, the request, insert the issue key, created by, insert the reporter's name, is waiting approval. Please review the request and provide your approval decision. And we can see here as we modified it, now that preview down here does also update. If we wanted to also see how it looks directly via an email, we just click send a test email and it's going to send us this exact preview right here. And in this preview, it's also going to apply the styles from templates. So if you made any customizations with the HTML, CSS, the plain text, you're going to be able to see that all right here as well to ensure what you're looking at is fitting for your notification. And note that this is going to apply for any request that goes into that official approval required step. So the content of your body, what you put here, make sure that they are relevant and generalized for all of your requests, not just for one specific one. Once we have all of our changes, we have to make sure we click save, and then it's going to save our customization. So that way now that notification is customized. However, what if your customers are getting too many emails or the wrong kinds? You're able to turn off specific notifications. So let's say for customer visible status change, maybe this isn't as relevant. They don't need to know when an issue goes from in progress to in review. They don't need to know. All we can do is click the toggle button right here, and now we've disabled that notification. Even when you disable it, you're still able to go into it, you can click edit, and you can still customize that notification how you want. Just be careful that you don't go too far with turning on and turning off notifications. You want them to be informed, however, you don't want your customers to be spammed. One of the biggest things to call out here is that there is a difference between internal comments and public comments. And those two relate to the notification of public comment added. So if we go ahead and take a look at a ticket, we're going to come over here and we see that there are some comments left that are in a yellow box, and then there's some that are just white only. And if we go to view the requests in the portal, we're going to see that this is the only message that came through in the portal and that this one's white. This one right here that shows up in the portal, this is going to be a public comment. The ones you see in the yellow, these are going to be internal notes. This is a very common mistake that agents will make, that when you come into comment that you click the wrong one and they think that while they replied that the customer hasn't gotten back to them. Why isn't that the case? Well, if they left an internal comment, the customer's not going to see that notification. As an agent, just double check which one you're using to ensure that you're communicating back and forth with your customer. So just some bonus tips before we wrap things up. So when you're customizing your customer notifications, make sure to keep your subject lines useful. Something like update on your request and inserting the request summary is way better than saying a comment was added. Also, avoid using internal Jira language. Instead of saying issue, use request. Instead of saying reporter, you can say you or customer. Making sure that you are keeping these notifications to be generalized but not too broad will really help you. Now, I know I've mentioned that these are a little limited to customization, and again, I will link in the description of this video if you want more control, more customization for your customer notifications. You can utilize the send email action for automation for Jira, so you'll be able to view all of that and see how you can really take customer notifications to the full extent with automation for Jira. And that there does wrap up our video of customer notifications and Jira Service Management. So we saw where to find them, we looked at how to clean them up and modify them, and we also looked at how to make them more helpful. I hope that you take what you've learned in this video and go ahead and apply it to your spaces and your site. Thanks for watching.